Oh,
Hello,
it's live.
hello. It is live.
Oops, sorry.
Why is there always the urge to do jazz hands when we go
know.
live?
Hi. We're back. Did you miss us?
Welcome. Did you miss us? Hey, the Salty Sisters are back. Kat Corchado, Yvonne Marchese. We are here with a very special guest, Stephanie Odell of Celebrate the Gray, which is an agency representing women over 50 with a mission to get real women over 50 into fashion advertising and media campaigns and all those things. And Stephanie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here on a
I'm
Friday.
super excited. On a Friday.
On a
Friday,
Friday.
whoop, whoop. More jazz hands. Come on, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, Yvonne, for people that are new, do you want to introduce you? I can't imagine that people don't know you, but just in case.
Oh, come on. Plenty of people don't know me. All right. So I am Yvonne Marchese. I am an age agitator, and I do that as the host of the Late Bloomer Living podcast and the Age Agitators Club for Women, of which I am the prez, as Kat likes to call me, the prez. And my current obsession is all about living playfully at any age. And I am in a deep dive exploration about how to do that. And the reason being that I tend to grind. I don't know about anybody else, but I tend to grind on what I'm trying to do and growing my business, et cetera, et cetera. And I am trying to bring a more playful attitude to that, the everyday tasks, the everyday things, because gosh, it feels better. So that's me in a nutshell at this moment. How about you, Kat?
I like that, Yvonne, right at this moment. For those of you that don't know me, I am the freaking fabulous Kat Corchado. I have two passions. One is women veterans, which led me to start my podcast, Sisters in Service, which, we get to talk about all those things that happen to us in service and out after service. My other passion is fitness and wellness. I know that everyone has the right to feel good in their body. I don't care how old you are. It should just be your right, and to help you get there. And that's why I have my small space Pilates, where we do weight training, Pilates, and stretching in a non-perfection environment. No perfection is allowed. So yeah, that's me with a little
Yay.
saltiness and
The
a little
freaking
sweet.
fabulous Kat. And Kat is helping us all tap into our freaking fabulosity. She's not just holding all that fabulosity in for herself. She is spreading it around.
Yvonne. I have to share.
And another person spreading fabulosity around is Stephanie Odell. Stephanie, I love that you're on this mission to get real women of a certain age, into media, into fashion advertising. And so I'm going to get a little salty right off the bat here and just ask you, why is that even important?
Well, as you were saying that, I was thinking, I always think it was, most of our journeys are all based on personal experience. We all have had some point in our lives that have made us pivot. And my pivot point was my mom, who was, I think, 80 at the time, saying that she couldn't travel anymore because my dad couldn't travel. And I just realized she was basing her abilities on his capabilities. And then I had another experience. I was with my 13-year-old, I think, daughter at the time. She's 20. No, she was probably 14 or 15. She's 23 now. And all of a sudden we were in LA, we were crossing a street, and they started whistling. Some guys started whistling at her and making comments to her. And all of a sudden I saw the focus and attention being pivoted from really young. And all of a sudden any attention to me was changed. I just saw these points, and I just started really paying attention to media and marketing and what I was being fed, knowing that I personally didn't feel outdated or irrelevant. I was still active. I was still an athlete, but I didn't see myself represented. And so that was, for me personally, it was really important to see myself represented. I also was in a situation where we were talking about running, and women that were in their 60s said, "Oh, I can't run. I'm 60." And I meant, wait a minute, what? What? Why are you basing your abilities on your age and not what your abilities or your capabilities are? And then I realized, well, it wasn't because we don't get fed visuals or narratives that give us that permission to even think about that as a possibility. So it's so important because there's so many women sitting on the outside. If you don't have a role model, I was really fortunate. I had a 90-year-old, 96-year-old grandmother that was fashionable up till the end. My mom is 92 and still working in the garden and doing playing mahjong and driving. So I'm fortunate. I have role models, but a lot of women don't. So they base their aging on either stories they're being fed by marketing and media, or friends or family history. So what would happen if they saw that 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old in an REI ad hiking and living their life differently? Would that give them permission to think about that? Sorry, that was a
Yeah.
long-winded answer to your question.
It's got my brain going in a bajillion directions, because it is so important what we see and whether or not we see ourselves represented in certain ways. All of that is subliminal messaging, and I find it interesting too when I see ads that are saying all the right things about, if they're trying to not be anti-aging, they're not using anti-aging language
Mhm.
maybe, but they are using younger models to talk about their product. And there's this mismatch of what they're saying and what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Wow, Yvonne, what brought to mind was there's a commercial. I don't know if you've seen it with Jennifer Garner about some potion or something. And she
Uh-huh.
slides it over to this young thing that looks like she's 12. I don't think she's 12, but she looks 12. And I'm thinking, wait, what's the focus here?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's really kind of, the more I see it, the more I start to bristle at it. Because, I never thought of, being, I won't say ageist, of thinking myself as being old. So my question, Stephanie, is what if you have someone who really, is getting older and they're feeling good about themselves, but from outside sources, from television, from their own family to their own friends saying, you shouldn't have long hair. You shouldn't be doing this because you're this age. You should be wearing clothes like this. What do you say to those women that are going through that?
Find a new community. Find new
Find new
friends.
friends. I love that.
Or
No, I
maybe
think
it's time to
that's
school them a little bit.
yeah. I think that that's so true for so many people. And internet, social media is amazing for finding people that give you new messaging. Finding products and services that do understand you as a consumer, and really spending your dollars there versus spending your dollars with a brand that doesn't understand you, but also being vocal and visible. The more vocal and visible you are with younger generations, older generations, you help rewrite those narratives about what aging looks like. So taking the power back in your own aging journey, but also giving that opportunity to someone that's younger, because I think that younger decision makers make the decisions they do because of lack of information. So the more information we can share, the more re-education happens.
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Oh,
I have a question. What contributes to being ageless? Like when you're thinking about, or do you think about a person that just, you don't think about their age, just think how good they look? Is that it? When I see Yvonne, I'll be like, oh, Yvonne's this age, that age. Is it just how the person vibrates, how they present? What do you think contributes to being ageless?
Well, I don't know if the ageless is a word, because we want to celebrate our age. To me, I want to celebrate my age because I want to rewrite. I'm 61, going to be 62. I want people to get a new image in their head. So if we're not talking about how old we are. It just, we continue to have these pictures in our heads. When someone says to you, "Oh, you look great for your age," I always will say back, "Oh, well, what picture are you comparing me to?" So I think the visibility and being vocal about our age. So ageless to me, I'm 60. I want the 60s to be redefined. I want the 70s, the 80s, the 90s to be redefined so that people think about the possibilities of that beautiful aging. There was just this morning, there's a magazine, and I'll have to look it up, but someone shared with me, Dua Lipa is part of a magazine, and their 100th issue, they featured 100-year-olds, and they talked to them about, how do you find joy in your life? What are some of your things that you've done to have positive aging? So I think instead of maybe ageless, we talk about taking your power back, and giving yourself permission, and think about what a privilege it is to age. So I think looking for role models, looking for people that inspire you, what inspires you about them, like Yvonne and another friend of mine, Angela, are rollerblading and roller skating again. Granted, not everybody can do that, but finding joy, I think, Yvonne, what you're saying, finding joy and fun in our lives, taking dance classes, putting yourself out there and not getting caught up in a box that someone may have put you in.
Yeah, I love
So,
it. And ageless is a tricky term,
yeah,
because it does have this implication that we don't want to own our age. I actually have a one of those boards up in my kitchen, one of those message boards, and I just put on there, "Own it, own it." And what "own it" means to me is everything. Like, own who I am, own what I've done, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And that includes, I love the whole the campaign that's going around that is I look my age,
yeah,
or it's like owning your age instead of kind of going, "Oh, it's I have an ageless beauty," or anything like that. Let's take back the control over that narrative that says, "I'm 55 years old. This is the way my 55 years old looks." It doesn't look that way for somebody else.
right,
It but it is That's their 55, or that's their 60, or that's their 70. It gives you so much power back
right.
to claim your age, And that said, I'm going to say not every industry is friendly to that. I've found women in the tech industry, certainly in the entertainment industry, those are very difficult
Mhm.
waters to navigate. And so I can see why somebody wouldn't want to claim their age.
Mhm.
But I feel like I have the freedom to do that.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to shout it from the mountaintops.
Yeah,
I
and just
think,
by you, sorry, Kat.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just it's that small little step forward that allows other women to start thinking of, even in the other industries, to start thinking about it. Because again, it's this messaging we have ingrained in our head. I can't say how old I am, and again, I'm not in the industry, so I'm just making a observation that what would happen if you did say your age, like there's so much fear around it, um, that I'm just curious. Some of these women that are caught up in the stories of, I can't say my age, I can't let my hair go gray, I can't, all these things. Where is that
Mhm.
messaging and story coming from? And is it time for it to be rewritten?
I think when I said ageless, when I think of ageless, I think of how you think, because I think it
Mm,
starts up here,
yeah,
not so much here. We know what's going to happen here, but ageless to me is saying, I want to do this and doing it. I
yeah,
want to go skydiving, and I'm not thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't because of this, this, this. I want to roller skate. I want to go here. I want to do this. Ageless to me is saying I can do what I want to do and I have the freedom to do it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, I
Boom.
wish there was a word. We should come up with a word, because for me, it's always don't live your box, living in those boxes that society has defined. This is what 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s looks like. And I think that's what, Yvonne, you and I are saying, say how old you are, because somebody, will come in thinking 60 looks one way, and then they meet you and they say, oh, that's 50s or that's 60s. I thought it was this. So, but I do believe the mindset is a big part of things. Again, that goes back to the stories that were fed through so many different channels. And I'll say back
Yeah.
to people when we talk about aging, where's your story coming from? Is that your story, or is that somebody else? You're living your aging journey based on somebody else's story.
Stephanie, how does someone change, if they've been, I don't
Yeah.
want to say living
We've
this
been surrounded
lie,
by these.
but yeah, but I think it's, if someone's been, how do we change their thought pattern on this? Because I'm going to be 67 this year. Yeah, I said it. Yes, I'm 67, and I'm
Yay!
proud. I'm proud. I'm still here,
Yep.
and I'm still active, and I will continue to be so. But I think that sometimes we get beaten down, with our, like you said, you need to change your friends, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
But how can we start to shift a woman's thought pattern about aging, do you think?
I think
Well,
it
I
has
think,
to start with us.
yeah.
Honestly,
Oh,
sorry,
us three?
Yeah.
whoever's watching. I think that internalized ageism is the most dangerous kind of ageism that there is, and the most prevalent, nefarious, because there are these little thoughts that are running around in the background of your mind, and if you're not aware of them, then they're running you. But as soon as you start to recognize ageist language, which is subtle, it does come up in things like Kat, you and I were talking about, you had looked up something and you were reading to me what was that thing that you were
Oh,
reading
it
to
was
me?
the
And I was like, aha,
definition. And
yeah.
so I told Yvonne that I looked up the definition of what ageless beauty is, which is, it sounds like an oxymoron, right? The two words that shouldn't be going together. And she said, I wonder if there's some ageist attitudes, ageist verbiage in there. And one was, let me see if I can find it. Well-being. Oh, see now, keep talking, Yvonne. I'll find
Okay.
it.
Well,
I
something
put
I
you
was just
on the spot,
thinking
Kat.
about.
Oh, here it is. It
Oh.
emphasizes maintaining a vibrant and youthful
Mm.
appearance.
But again, this is whose definition of youthful, and we're working with a beauty brand right now, and we're talking about definitions of beauty and skincare in particular, and that we need to start talking about radiant and healthy skin, not wrinkle free, and not red of all the brown spots, but just that my skin is healthy and radiant, that the definition of beautiful skin needs to be redefined. And one of the campaigns of this brand is Let Me Age. And it's this beautiful hashtag Let Me Age. And this is,
I love
again,
that.
seeing people that represent your age, giving you that permission of what age looks like. And like Yvonne said, there's a spectrum where you're going to meet it. And you may be meeting it at the level of, I'm covering up everything and I'm dressing in baggy clothes because my body's changed. But then all of a sudden you get small inspirations. This is back to your question, Kat, about how does somebody do this? Back to your give you that little bit of permission to say, okay, maybe I'll wear a colored tennis shoe, and just making yourself a little visible for a moment. And someone says, I love your shoe, gives you that permission to maybe move up on the spectrum a little bit of, okay, I am going to own this a little bit more. Oh, you know what? I am going to try that dance class because why can't I take a dance class? Why can't I go to a yoga class if I've never gone to a yoga class? It's those, celebrate those small achievements, and don't think about getting to this end of the spectrum, but just do what you're capable of now. And that each one of those steps starts moving you along to start really believing that you have power in your aging.
I
And you
think
can make a difference.
Absolutely.
one of the
And I do
best
want to do a
compliments.
quick shout
Oh,
out.
go ahead.
Oop,
I'm sorry. I think there's a delay. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I think I've got a there is a delay. There is a delay. I did want to just do a shout out to Kim White, whose birthday is tomorrow, and she's claiming it. She says she's turning 57 tomorrow. Tomorrow,
Mhm.
she's still here and determined as ever. Yay, Kim, and happy birthday.
Stephanie, when you said that, when someone gives you a compliment, I think one of the best compliments is from one woman to another.
Mhm.
Like a guy can give you a compliment, like, oh, thank you. A woman comes up to you and says, I love your shoes. Ah,
Yeah.
and you feel good the whole day.
It's
Yep.
true. I tried to do that. I saw a woman at the gas station and she just looked great, like head to toe. You know, there was just something, she was rocking a casual vibe, gray hair, the whole thing, cool sneakers, great sweater, and I was just like, you look so fantastic. And she's pumping gas and she was like, oh, thank you. You could see her whole thing change because she was
Yeah.
focused on pumping gas. And then, oh, somebody saw me because
Right.
you start to feel invisible at this age,
Yeah.
Well,
I think
you
that's
are.
super important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super important both ways. Older people, our own age group, and younger people, because there's ageism to younger folks. Oh, you're not old enough to know how to do that, or you're not, you haven't had enough experience to have that opinion. But that's their opinion based on their experience. And also for ourselves and for older people. So listening and
Mhm.
seeing someone and having a conversation is so important to really starting to break down the ageism that's happening.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that you've got these younger decision makers. And Kat, you asked how do we change this? I think it is really one bit of exposure at a time.
Mhm.
I do say it starts with us, and part of that is Kat roller skates also, by the way, Stephanie.
Oh, I need to join you ladies. We need to
Yeah,
have a
you
Yes.
skate
do.
party.
Oh my gosh, that would be so
I
fun.
need lots of padding though. I need lots of wrist guards.
We
Always
all
wear,
do.
yes.
We all
I
do.
always helmet, wrist guards. I am padded up, man. But and they work, I'll say, because I've fallen and
Oh, yeah.
I've put all of them to use. It's but when somebody younger sees somebody older doing something that defies their expectations, that's a little chink in the
Yep.
story that rips away a little bit of that assumption about what an older person can do or is going to do or any of that. And does that make a difference when they're making their decisions?
Such a huge difference. I mean, I see that on photo shoots all the time that we come in. My favorite story to tell is one of our first shoots, and one of the gals that was modeling this, she was 73 or 2 at the time. She is an ultra distance runner, trainer. She has run over 300 marathons, and she also has had breast cancer, hip surgery. So she defies what the expectation is of her age. So the people that hired her walked in with this expectation, oh, she may need a walker, she may need chairs to rest and sit down. And then they met her. I remember we had to do a video portion. They were supposed to talk to her for 10 minutes. 45 minutes later, I'm like, you guys, you've got to pay Lisa another hour, because she goes, oh my God, she's so interesting. So those people left with a new definition of what 70s looks like.
Mhm.
So the next time they cast, it will be cast completely different. So it is this grassroots
Mhm.
interaction by interaction. And I guess that's what we were saying. Take that opportunity to have that conversation with a younger person or
Mhm.
someone your own age, because there could be a woman sitting there that's thinking, this is as good as it gets. I've done what I'm supposed to do. I've raised my kids. I've had a career. And then they meet you and they hear your pivot story and they're like, oh, there is more possibility. And it starts that that little idea that may be tucked back here that they've kind of shoved to the side because their friends and family just kind of say, be happy with what you've got. You've had this amazing life and settle into your retirement or whatever it may be. That sparks that little seed to start growing and say, maybe it is something I should explore.
So it's just little changes at a time. And I think also when we go to the doctor's telling us, well, you are getting older.
Right.
And you're like, seriously? So I think, I'm just stubborn. I'm just one of those people that,
That's a good thing.
I'm not what people expect. And I don't do the things that I should be doing for my age, which I don't know what that is, but I'm just being me. And I agree with you because I've seen women older than me doing amazing things. And I'm like, I want to be her.
Right.
I want to do that. And
Right.
I think one of the things that I say to myself every year, and I've been doing this since the age of 50, I want to be better this year than I was last year, whether it's better health-wise, financially, whatever that means. I want to be better. And I think when I keep that in mind, it takes the age thing out of it and just makes me, want to be better, a better person, nicer to people. I don't know, whatever that looks like, or whatever it is for anybody else. But I think that because I don't really think about my age. And other people are like, oh my God, I didn't know you were that old. And I'm like, excuse me? Just like when you said, you're like, well, what are you comparing that to? And I said, well, if they're comparing me to someone 35, thank you very much. But if you're comparing me to someone older, I have a problem with that.
Yeah. Well, that was funny. One of my first stories too, I was hiking up this in the Sierra Buttes, and I was hiking with this woman. We started hiking together, and we got to the top, and it was when I first started Celebrate the Gray, and I started Celebrate the Gray as a blog. So I was just talking to people for the first year, and I said to her, "Can I ask you how old you are?" And she said, "Well, I'm 70, but my group thinks I'm in my 50s, and if they know I'm 70, they'll put limitations on what they think I can do." And that was like, you have those aha moments when you're building something. That was one of my big ones. Like, this woman needs to be in an REI ad and say that, because how often we do that to people. Don't to older, don't do that. I'm sure, Yvonne, how many people have said to you, and Kat, don't skate. Oh my God, you're going to break something. You're going to fall. It's like, that goes in your head, and it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't skate. I might hurt myself. And we do that to older people. Don't walk on, don't hike anymore. You may fall and hurt yourself.
Well,
That's
I think
our
when
perception on them.
Yeah, I think when I do things, it was, especially when I bought my skates and people said, aren't you going to break, afraid you're going to fall and break. I said, if I thought that I was going to fall all the time, I would not buy the skates. Okay. But I've got padding. I've got all that stuff, and I expected to not fall, which I think has contributed to not falling as much. So have I fallen? Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
But I think that when you defy what people think of a certain age, then it starts the wheels turning, just saying, oh, maybe I can do that. What did you do to do this? I'm very curious all the time. I love asking questions. I'm a lifelong learner. And I think that contributes too. And I think you just need to keep living, keep learning, keep growing. And when you do that, you won't have time to think about how old you are. You just be out there, kicking butt and taking names,
Yeah. Kim put another comment in. She says, keep your limitations away from me.
Yeah.
No limits.
Yeah.
Right on.
And find your inspiration wherever you're at this point. I think sometimes too, women hear other women's stories and like, I could never be that. Well, maybe not at this point in your life, but there are women, and that's why it's so important that we share our stories, because there's women out there at all different points in their lives that need that little inspiration to get started in whatever they may be. And it may be, getting a part-time job. It may be taking a class. It may be, it's not necessarily starting a business. It may not be
or
putting
roller
yourself out there, or roller skating.
It doesn't have to be like it. Like Kat and I both talk about, there's the things you want to do, and then there's the thing. Then you shouldn't be shooting on yourself to say,
Right.
well, I'm less because I'm not
Right.
roller skating. But do you
Mhm.
even want to roller skate? Not
Yeah.
everybody wants to.
Yeah.
So like Kat and I are like, yeah, I don't ever want to go bungee jumping. Hard no, but do I
Because we
want
don't
to?
know, because we don't want to.
Because we don't want to, not because we feel limited in any way about ourselves. I've just never wanted to go bungee jumping, but do I wanna jump out of a plane? I
Mhm.
kinda do.
I know, me
Does
too.
that scare
No.
the heck out of me? Yes, it does, but there's that thing I think everybody needs to look at is like, okay, just because you're scared by it
Mhm.
doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. But when you see somebody doing something, like pay attention to that
Mhm.
little inner voice or your gut telling you, "Oh, I kind of wish I could do that." Now, if that's
Mhm.
what you're feeling, like that little, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't know if I can. Then maybe that's the thing you need to push into, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is that I feel that women in our age group in midlife, we're powerful and we don't know how powerful we are. And I like to tell women, that a lot of times those things that you want to do, you put on the back burner or you put in a closet somewhere and you forgot about them. And now, your kids have grown up, they've gone to college, whatever they're doing, you're in the house by yourself. And you think that that door that was an entry to other things is closed to you. And I like to say, yes, it's closed, but it's not locked. You can
Yeah.
still open the door. Just see what's behind there. Just look. And you might
Yeah.
see all that stuff over there. And some of that stuff you may not want to do anymore, but some of that
Sometimes,
stuff you may want to.
yeah, and sometimes it's even you can't even imagine what you want to do. Like you've closed the
Mhm.
door so much, it's locked away and you can't find it. And that's a really hard place to be. I mean, that's where I
Mhm.
started my journey was I don't even know what I'm good at. I don't even know what I'm
Mhm.
passionate about. I knew that I was, raised two my husband and I had raised two kids to the point where they were self-sufficient. I had had a career, I had left my career. I had no concept of what I was passionate about anymore, and that was a scary place to be.
It's like
Um,
the what am I going to be when I
yeah,
grow up
yeah,
feeling.
All over again.
yeah, and
I
how
go, yeah,
easy it is to
constant.
settle into, "Well, I've done some great things, that's it." And so it's back to that, take a little step, take a class, read a book, go on YouTube and look at some videos that interest you. I got a part-time job in the very beginning, and that kind of was a
That
catalyst.
led you to this, right?
Yeah,
Weren't
yeah,
Yeah, you were working for a brand and helping dress women, and they weren't seeing themselves in the brand, and you're like, "Oh,"
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Have
and
you seen progress since you have started Celebrate the Gray, Stephanie? Do you see progress in the fashion industry yet, or is it like little tiny things, or is it still just a whole lot of hurdles to get past?
I've seen a lot of positive. There's a lot of celebration of women. Women are definitely owning their age more. There's a lot of celebrities that have stepped up, and that it
Mhm.
takes that. It takes celebrities stepping up. Yes, we can't really identify with those celebrities, but you need that big voice to make the little voices more heard. Um, Brands, there's so many brands being started by the 40 plus woman that really understand the importance of representation and both visually and narratively, and making sure the product actually works for the consumer, talking to the consumer. I've talked to a lot of big brands. They're all very interested in age inclusion, but are not quite ready to pull the trigger. And, we talk, talk, talk. Okay, which models? They pick models. Then it comes down to actually executing the campaign. Oh, we've changed direction. So I say it's a grassroots movement. A conversation I had 2 years ago, they've come back and they've said, "Oh, now we're going to do a gray campaign. We were going to do dye your hair, and you didn't like your gray hair, so we're dyeing," which we said we can't be part of. So it's education. It's continuing to have those conversations. It's women stepping up and owning their age and being vocal and visible for brands to see, oh, they don't aspire to be their younger selves. Because if we continue to buy in to those products that tell us to be our younger selves, it just reinforces that's what we want. So it's this communal effort on our part, and re-education, and just grassroots movements of conversation. But yeah, I would say we're much further down the road than we were 5 years ago. Um, a lot more conversation. Menopause has opened the space up for sure. There's money to be made in menopause, so all of a sudden it's on national TV.
Mhm.
So it's whenever there's money, all of a sudden it will be more noticeable.
Yeah.
And that will definitely happen because we do represent a huge $15 trillion spending power that's undervalued and underrepresented currently.
I
Yeah.
think they're missing the mark, man,
Oh,
because
yeah.
we want to buy clothes, but we don't I don't want sunflowers on my dress. Okay. I don't want, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm still vibrant. I still want to look good, and I think they're missing the mark. And if some of these cosmetic companies or skincare companies would have a consultant who is in our age group to say, that's not going to fly,
Right.
why would you not do that?
And can I
You
just say,
understand?
somebody needs to make really kick butt looking shoes for older feet. That's all I'm saying. All I want is some cool shoes, man.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's difficult, it's when you think about, it's a lot to think about. I mean, you get to middle age and you think you're okay, and then you get to menopause, and then menopause just kicks your butt. And then afterwards, people saying, "Oh, now you're old, now you're this, and you got to dress it," and you're just like, because sometimes even for me, all the upkeep, I just don't want to do it anymore. You just get to that. I had someone much younger than me, and she said, "Well, I don't understand what the difference in age is between you and me." And she goes, "What's the difference?" And I go, "Maintenance." Right? Think about a car, brand new car, no maintenance.
Yeah.
20-year-old car, lots of maintenance. So I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
yeah.
True. But
So I have go ahead, Stephanie.
one thing about clothing, and this is an empowering statement, I think, for women to lose the word appropriate. There is nothing that is appropriate or not appropriate. It is your own definition of what is appropriate. It kills me when sends, "Well, do you think she should be wearing that?" I'm like, hell yeah, she should be wearing that. If she wants to wear it, she should be wearing it.
And ladies, catch yourself when you're doing that, because if you're doing it to somebody else, if you're looking at somebody and getting a little judgy McJudgerson about the age appropriateness of what they're wearing, then guess what? You're actually doing that. You're putting that limitation on yourself. Are you actually being who you want to be in the world, or are you limiting yourself based on what you feel is appropriate?
Yeah.
I actually
I'm
had that
share
happen
that.
to me, Yvonne. I
Did
had
you?
someone, so I'm in the fitness industry, I'm a Pilates instructor. So I wear a lot of leggings. I wear a lot of, Athleta and all this other stuff. And this woman came and she said, "I really don't think it's appropriate that you're wearing this." And I said, "I think it's very appropriate considering the fact that I'm a Pilates instructor." And then she just looked at me and blinked and walked away. And I was
She,
like,
just a complete stranger, felt the need to come up and
yes,
judgy
yes,
McJudgerson
Wow.
you?
yes, yes. And I was like,
Wow.
and another woman came, she goes, aren't you angry? I can't believe she said that." I'm like, it's her problem. It's not mine. I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow. Wow, wow,
I
wow.
know.
When you
That's
lose that word,
mind-blowing.
it gives you this freedom to think about dressing differently and talking about finding joy in dressing. That, catalyst for change can start anywhere, but really understanding, your shape and dressing your shape and finding joy in dressing and having fun with dressing is this amazing catalyst for change internally too.
Mhm,
Finding new inspiration. I always
mhm,
tell people, look on Instagram, look on Pinterest, and find what your inspiration is
I have
for
filled
dressing.
my Instagram feed with just stuff that makes me feel good. People that are my age or older who are kicking butt and taking names, or doing something that fills them with joy,
Yeah,
or doing something that I find amazing. And I'm going to say, the ageist thoughts don't just go away. I mean, I steep myself in this research and these conversations all the time. And I still look at somebody of a certain age and look at what they're doing and think, wow, look at them at that age. And it's still an ageist judgment
Yeah.
call, right?
Yeah.
But I'm filling my feed with those examples so that I can eventually hopefully get past it.
Well,
It's crazy.
well, we all need to, because with Kat's help and in the fitness side of things, we're living longer and healthier. So we're going to be around a lot longer. So we've got a long way to go of redefining as we age. So people have got to kind of lose their image of age and embrace it however it looks.
Can you talk about the Celebrate the Gray collective a little bit, Stephanie? Because that's like a whole, you've got the modeling and the influencer side of what you're doing, and then you've got the collective. Can you talk a little bit about what that does and what that offers?
Yes. So gray haired modeling was the place I started, because it's really the first thing we are told as we age. You need to change your hair. You need to dye your hair if you want to be deemed beautiful in society. But then I had many women reaching out saying, I'm slowly going gray. So I understand that not everybody is graying at the same time. Some women didn't want to dye or don't want to have gray hair. Everyone's journey is their own. So I wanted to build a space for those women that didn't fall into the modeling side, didn't fall into the influencer side, that were active on social media and had a community. So the collective is for any woman over 50 that just really wants to be part of changing the visuals and narratives around aging, and be part of a community of women that are very vocal and visible. We have a lot of different opportunities that come into the collective that aren't modeling. They may be being part of working with a brand, so that the brand understands who we are and where we are and how to reach us. It may be just connecting with other women. We do a lot of webinars on there. The women that are part of it can share what they're passionate about. And again, this is a spectrum. So you may join the collective and just really interested in hearing what other women are doing and be inspired to start an Instagram page. And all of a sudden, your story is resonating with women, and you grow your following. And now you're going to fall into the influencer side of the brand. So it's really giving women a place if they don't fit into the modeling side or the influencer side.
Yeah, and it's a Facebook group, right? Is
Yeah,
that the
private
primary
Facebook group.
way to enter into it?
Yeah.
So I joined the collective, and very soon thereafter, one of your clients actually reached out to me to connect, and that was Karen Poirier of Embrago, who has developed like this clothing for larger breasted women with a menopausal body. And she told me the story, Stephanie, that she was looking for age appropriate models to wear her clothes and literally couldn't find them until she found you.
Right. And that's what I'm working with a number of brands, same way, which is really exciting that they find me versus me out finding them. But so with Karen, we did an influencer program. Then we're building an ambassador program. So women, again, giving women the opportunity to create a revenue stream for themselves and build a connection with a founder of a brand and a relationship. A couple of the women have really built strong relationships with her. So that may morph into modeling. It may not, but it's this empowerment for those women in the collective that are part of this ambassador program now. And it's also this amazing opportunity for Karen to connect with real women and have conversation, and then be able to get user generated content that's real and authentic, because as consumers, we're looking for that real story to kind of wade through all the information that's thrown at us about skincare or fashion, or to really find an authentic brand and real women that are using it. So it's been a really great relationship.
So Stephanie, do we
cool.
just go to the Facebook page and just ask to join?
Yes, you have to answer a few questions, make sure that you really are a 50 plus woman. I do a little vetting, a little research. I have men that reach out and I'm like, no, this is not for you.
I'd be like, no, I know her. Please let me in. I know her.
Yeah, and it's just, the beautiful thing. We had actually a in real life networking event in New York last year, and it was this really amazing opportunity for models and founders and platform people that have platforms for the 50 plus women all came together and met each other. So that's kind of something we're trying to achieve too.
What was the energy like in that room, Stephanie? That is so exciting to me
But it
because
was electric.
when I
Oh.
started the podcast, the Late Bloomer Living podcast, I didn't realize that I was already part of a movement. I wondered if it was just me feeling what I was feeling and going through what I was going through. And that's why I started the podcast, only to find out that I'm on the crest of a wave of other people who are exploring what's next for us.
Yeah.
So I just, I get excited thinking about this whole swelling of energy around this. Was it amazing to have all those
It was
people
amazing.
in the room?
Yeah. I mean, especially for me that had been growing this for the past 5 years, to see everybody together and see such energy and connection. And then we had people walking because it was an indoor outdoor. We all moved outside, and Susie Lang, who has women 60 plus, came. She's part of the collective, and she was taking pictures. She has an amazing Instagram site, and she's a photographer out of New York. So she was taking pictures. So we were all together in this big group, and people were stopping like, who are you beautiful women? What is this about? Like, because the majority of people were gray. And it was just, you could see people were so inspired by seeing us. So it just reinforced, oh my God, if this was in marketing and advertising, the joy and passion that people have as they age and come together to support each other. And Yvonne, you have done such a great job of connecting people, that is what we need other women to know is possible. So yeah, it was pretty amazing to have everybody come together.
So cool. Are you going to do another one?
Yeah, I want to do New York. I think we're doing LA and then in Chicago. Of course, where my kids are, Chicago and New York. I do.
Well, when you come to New York, you let me know. I will be there.
Oh, yeah, you would love it.
All right, I got to stay with Yvonne then.
You come on up and stay with me, Kat. We will do all that. That is awesome. That is awesome. Oh my goodness, Stephanie, thank you so much for being with us today. People, go join the Celebrate the Gray Collective. You belong there. The more we can surround ourselves with like-minded people, I am of a firm belief that it is just going to raise everybody up.
And
Thank you so much.
Yvonne, yeah. I think also the more people we have, the bigger voice, and the louder our voice, the more people are going to pay attention.
Yeah.
The right people. Yeah.
And just don't buy into the messaging. Thank you so much for having me, but don't buy into the messaging that you can't be visible and you're not worthy. And all the experience and wisdom you have is valuable. And it may not fit in a box that somebody else serves you, but find the box that it does fit in, and don't sell yourself short. Don't get in your own way. Like, get out of your way, and everything is possible.
Be open to change. And with that, we're out. So Yvonne, tell us about our next Salty Sisters. Do you know when we're coming on and what we're doing, or what
I don't, because I closed all my tabs. So
we'll be back, folks.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're heading into February, so we are going to be talking a little bit about love. We are going to have another guest on to talk about dating in midlife. Ooh. And but I forget which date that is. And Kat and I will be together, just the two of us in the meantime as well. So we got a whole lot of good stuff cooking up for February.
We do.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Stephanie, for being here. Thank you for everyone who, is watching this, or maybe you're watching this later on. If you have any questions for Stephanie or Yvonne or for me, let us know, and we'll make sure that everyone gets what they need. So until next time, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
How about jazz hands as we go out?
Oh, jazz hands. I can't do both jazz hands.
I know you need a hand. Okay, we'll just wave.